Hello and welcome to the practice on Lessons in Excellence, the Indian Story. With me as usual, Geeta P. Ramal. Geeta, sharp as usual today?
I hope so.
And the company in focus is HDFC. With us, its chairman, Mr. Deepak Parekh. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
Geeta, you as usual go first.
Deepak, HDFC is an extraordinarily successful company. At the same time, middle-class depositors, medium-sized loans, everything is average about it. What makes it special?
The object is really for the ordinary, helping the ordinary people. It is run by ordinary people who in an environment perform exceptionally well, as a result of which it has become a special success story. It is really run by ordinary human beings, and we work together, we work as a team, we produce results. Our success story was learning by doing. We made mistakes, we corrected them. But we learned the job while doing it on the job. Because when we started, we had to start giving mortgage loans. We did not know whether we'll get the money back. We did not know what the market expected. And it was a tremendous feeling because, you know, you have, if you go overseas, most countries and practically even developing countries had mortgage institutions, mortgage banks, building societies, housing finance companies, savings and loan associations, with a single object of financing a house. We did not have that. So we've grown over the years, we've evolved our systems over the years.
It is said that when you started, your borrowers were middle class, your depositors were middle class, and that imbued the company with a lot of middle class values.
It's still the same. It has not changed. Our average loan today, this year, our average loan is still below 4 lakhs of rupees. Now you know what you can get in 4 lakhs, and with 4 lakhs, our average loan today is 4 lakhs, and it is much lower than most of our competitors. So it is still very much lower middle class, I would say.
Is it now a strength or a weakness,
or
an emerging weakness?
I think it's a strength. I think that I think it is strength. The large number of people in that category, you heard shortages in housing, and you know the dream or the desire of a family to own a small roof over their head, and these 4 lakh loans, the loan to value ratio is about 50%, so the cost of the house is about 8 lakhs. Is 400 square feet in a city like Bombay. Our average loan in Bombay is 450 square feet. It's one room kitchen. It is 10 kilometers the other side of the airport. That is where our borrowers come from. That's where our clients come from. And the reason of, to answer your question really, in the good old days, it was, even today there is a feeling that if a bank, a borrower and a lender, the relationship is different.
And HDFC redefined this relationship. With an initial capital of 10 crore rupees, it gave shape to the dreams of millions of Indians to own a home. With an employee strength of over 1,000, it compassionately addressed the needs of its borrowers. The lender-borrower relationship began to operate in a new paradigm, in which the dignity of the borrower was paramount.
The lender is normally king, and the borrower is way down. That we did not follow this practice from day one. We were the only game in town, we were the only player in town, but we gave respect, we understood the borrower's problem, and we did not treat him like a borrower. We treated him like a client, like a customer.
First, you have to understand that a housing loan is a 15-year loan. Over a period of 15 years, anything can happen to that individual. He could be working in a company which closes down, there could be a strike in the company, lockout in the company, death in the family, illness in the family, because of which he's not able to pay for some period of time. In a situation where someone has fallen back on hard times, the house which he's bought is his single largest possession, and he doesn't want to do anything which would jeopardize the ownership of that house. And when you show him some understanding, when you show him sympathy, when you show him help at a time like this, it's something which he'll remember for all times to come. So our whole philosophy is based on trying and helping individuals, trying and helping them in whatever their needs be, whatever their problems.
We have to have integrity as our main source. I look at a person, I look at integrity as #1 quality. We are dealing in money. We have 130 offices. Anything can happen anywhere in the country. Cash is our raw material. And there is always the indulgence, the greed, the feeling, and we are not a rich country. And again, the attitude of the borrower is that if I give something to the lender, I'll get a larger loan, I'll get a quicker loan. That feeling is there. I mean, it's part of our life. How do you operate in that system where you are above board, where you are clean? This is the training process. This is the training process we have to go in day and out.
Integrity is key to our business. I mean, our whole business revolves around integrity. If we find that there is any doubt on integrity, then obviously we'll get rid of that person. But just because a person has not been a great performer, so far at least we've not had a situation where we've asked people to go. We've just counseled them and put them on another job where they can perform better.
So I may be the leader, HDFC, but each region has a leader. Everyone in the organization is a leader.
In 1977, HDFC gave a new dimension to housing loans. A simplified loan application process attracted borrowers, a welcome relief from the agonizing delays in nationalized banks. The turnaround time for loan disbursement was reduced to a day, helped by front desk autonomy and a culture of personalized service.
If there is a trade-off between the borrower's needs and your prudential guidelines, where does this trade-off end?
We have guidelines, we have rules, we have regulations. Now it is the appraiser's job to narrow the gap. It is the appraiser's job to either convince the person that, listen, it's too early for you to buy this house. Take 100 square feet less. Take 5 kilometers beyond where you have locality you have taken. Outside the city, 5 kilometers, and the values come down, prices come down. Or take into account his capability, depending on his education, depending on his size of the family, depending on his qualification, that he will grow rapidly. And he'll be able to pay a higher amount. We have different products. We give a young doctor. How do you give loans to a self-employed person? You see his tax returns. You graduate, you become a doctor after intensive training, and we look at your tax returns. You have no tax returns. You've just qualified as a lawyer or a professional, whatever. But we'll give you a long-term loan because we know you have the educational qualification and you will do well over a period of time. We can give you a 30-year loan and bring it down to 15 in 5 years' time as your income grows in order to expand the loan amount. So there are various products we have. There are various step-up repayment where you take a smaller amount earlier days because you've just started in life. Increase it as you grow. So there are different products. The job of the appraiser is to narrow the gap.
I remember when I was a young person who just joined HDFC, you would be sitting doing your files and trying to process the cases, and you would just see him walk by and just sit across here on the table and ask, what are you doing? It's a feeling of being wanted, a feeling of somebody there who really should not bother about why are you sitting here at 7 o'clock in the evening, and just saying, well, it's the job, we are paying them for it, but coming and asking, why are you here so late? What is it, that you're doing? And then, it's very amazing. We used to, I'm talking about old days where we didn't have computers. We used to have agendas. The agendas used to be like this. There used to be, 100 cases which we had to do. And we used to have periodic meetings where we used to meet. And we used to have Mr. Parekh come the next day and have this agenda which had red marks. There would have been about 200 red marks on one sheet, and we would ask him, what the hell? And we would find out that he'd sat till 3 at night with his wife, reading out things like, when was the application made? When was it processed? When was it, who signed off on which day? Just everything that, he used to look into.
Why are you wary of lateral hires from outside?
Within HDFC, because people are developing. We have grown well, but we could not satisfy, precisely to answer your question of ambitions. How do you tackle ambitions? People are ambitious, and we were a young team. So we have, because of the diversification of HDFC, people have got an opportunity to move out, to move into independent organizations, which still carry the HDFC brand, which still carry the HDFC name.
What about the need for fresh ideas, need for perhaps a little bit more benchmarking from the outside in terms of ambition, in terms of growth, in terms of the big ideas?
Well, I would say that, we've started hiring, last 5 years, I would say we've started hiring 20, 30, 40 MBAs every year. Now the turnover in the MBA, unfortunately, doesn't sort of fit my mind scale because, every 2 years they want to move. Every 2 years. If you ask me 5 years ago, the MBAs we've hired, how many of them are here? Out of 30, maybe 5, maybe 3. Because they just want to keep jumping jobs. And they learn in management schools, maybe like London Business School, Geeta, that at 35 you have to be the chairman, otherwise you failed in your objective in life. And you know, things like that. So MBAs are very, so what we have taken a view is, make maximum use out of that, 2 years, 5 years. Get their ideas, get their thoughts, get their energies.
Our monetary rewards, our salaries are very much in the middle. But you know what we did, I think again going back to 10 years ago, as a management it was decided that let us not look at monthly monetary rewards, let us look at wealth creation. And I think we have very successfully done that for our employees. Much before the time when, you know, ESOPs became a fashion, even before, you know, in the second and the third time we gave our shares out, you know, we had a public issue, we had reserved some of our shares for our employees. Fortunately for us, we all worked and we did all very well. Similarly, when the ESOPs were actually, you know, the ESOPs started 2 years ago, in 2000 actually, we again had a employee stock option program where employees were giving stock options. Since the company is doing well, our shares were doing well, our people have a lot of wealth today. Most of our people, I wouldn't say most of our people, at least people who've been with us for say 10 years and above, all of them own homes, if not second homes. Most of them have, you know, their own vehicles. It's amazing, and a peon in my office also has a car. We all work with no fear, and I think that is something which is also unusual about HDFC. You can walk into a remote office of HDFC and you will see people would be working late. Nobody is breathing down their necks to find out were they there, were they not there. So people work without fear, and when you work without fear, I think that in itself, you know, is a great motivator for you to stick on.
So it's not that HDFC has provided an opportunity only for me. Look at the number of people we hire in all our group companies. The bank, if you look at our bank, how many people it has? It has more staff than HDFC, but it still carries the brand. And what we try to say, please maintain the quality of the brand. Because one thing you must understand, we are one of the unique companies which does not have a dominant ownership.
Are you saying leaders are then created, not born?
Management really cuts the edges. Management really improves marginal improvements by cutting costs here, doing something here. Leaders think big. Leaders drive change. Leaders have to have a vision. Leaders have to have a passion. Leaders have to have a sense of integrity. You know, you have to have the leadership qualities.
But then the top man, you, for instance, in HDFC for the last so many years, you have had to have the passion, the leadership.
I still do.
So I think the top man is the leader, and then he's supported by...
I said earlier, everyone is a leader in that way.
Right.
But there are some different rules for a leader and different rules for management. Now, a point is a branch manager is a leader in himself. He or she is a leader, because he or she has large number of people reporting to her. They have to make budgets. They have to have a vision for their area. They must show growth. They must have the targets. And we ensure that the targets are met and the growth is there.
That's interesting. Are you just to pick up this thing of this local leader versus manager in an organization? Is that how you really look at the number of people with you?
Take for instance, there is this debate about when competition is there. We take inputs from these leaders, these branch managers, these service heads. You know, we have branches of 2 and 3 people. We have 130 branches, but some of them are 2 or 3 men staffed. Now they are certainly leaders in that territory, but we want inputs from them. But you know, they can't sort of give a vision for the company.
No superstars and no politics. That's the philosophy that drove performance in HDFC. HDFC avoided recruiting from premier business schools. Instead, it focused on hiring and nurturing whom it called ordinary people. But people with exemplary integrity, commitment and an appetite for hard work, and willing to go that extra mile.
How many layers of management do you actively interact with?
Well, my philosophy is not to have layers of management.
But inevitably there are, aren't there?
Yeah, but the point is there is little difference in my mind whether you're a DGM or a manager or something. I'll go to anyone and I pick up the phone and talk to anyone or go and sit in front of anyone.
All the different things that we're doing, all the, for example, we started using an agency system, which for quite a few years we were not wanting to do. We started using, outsiders, third-party people who would source applications for us. Till the time we were a monopoly or a near monopoly, we were not doing that for the simple reason because we thought we should be, why have, an intermediary between a client and ourselves. Going forward, we realized that this is what the market needed. People wanted home service. People, wanted you to come to their offices. So we did, introduce this. But the idea of introducing this actually came from the front line. It actually came from the people in the market. It actually came from the people who were really on a day-to-day basis facing the competition and were telling us that this is what we need. So as far as ideas are concerned, as far as new ways of doing business are concerned, it's absolutely a very open organization where the youngsters come and discuss with their immediate boss. It is immediately escalated to whoever the decision making is. There aren't too many people who need, you need to go through. Frankly, if an idea emerges at, say, an office in maybe Coimbatore, and they want to do something different, in most cases he doesn't even need to come to anyone in head office. His own office or his regional manager takes a decision and they go ahead and do that, whatever they want to do. But if it is something that is slightly more radical, it gets kicked up to the head office level, and there are 2 or 3 of us who meet and the decision is taken.
You have to spend evenings with them. You have to go to a branch and call 20 people, 40 people and have an evening with them, which we try and do as much as possible. Not at 6 monthly budget meetings and quarterly review meetings, that is a must. But over and above that, senior management must go to their territories and must meet the people, sometimes even their families, sometimes in the evening, always in the evening after office hours. You talk to them in an informal atmosphere about what is happening globally, what is happening for HDFC and its group companies. And all of us do that regularly. It is not easy. You have to stay days away from home. And you don't, and today you can go in the morning, come back home and sit at home in the evening, but it's difficult. You spend weekends away, traveling, meeting your managers. You don't want to do that, but you have to do that. It is part of a leader's agenda. It's part of a manager's agenda.
You mentioned the rules are different for leaders and the rules are different for managers.
Well,
what are they? What are these rules?
Not the rules. The point is now, we are a multifaceted financial organization. Now, I can't ask a manager of a Jaipur branch, what should we do in our asset management company? He would not have that vision. But that's the difference. When I say that a leader must have a vision, that means a leader and a manager cannot share the same thoughts, because he is a leader in his region, but he is not a global leader.
This whole business of participative management, where a lot of people are contributing a lot of things to the growth of the company. Clearly, at some point, the leader has to get up and say, enough of consensus building, enough of disparate opinion coming at me. At some point, this has to end. Where do you define that point? Is it instinctive, or is there a yardstick as well?
No, ultimately, as I said, I see my role as a trustee. We don't have any government or family or industrial groups or multinationals that own us.
But you also
we are really looking at public money for public housing.
Right. But you are also the man who will ultimately take the decision, because
that's true. But as we said, we have a managing director, we have 2 executive directors, and they have specific functions and specific responsibilities, whether it is finance, whether it is borrowing, whether it is investor relationship, whether it is operations. So each one has a sphere. But it's a close-knit organization. When there is a change in deposit rates, we discuss. In fact, sometimes we over-discuss.
That's right.
And because we owe a responsibility. I say my only or main responsibility is to my shareholders. It's because of my shareholders that we are here. I don't know my shareholders because they're foreign institutions. We meet them.
Yes.
They come. We call on them every 6 months when we have our results and all that. But they can buy today, sell tomorrow. But if the shareholding is not there, then there is no company. We don't have money in our pocket to go and buy our shares.
Mr. Parekh, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We came across this one company. The CEO is saying, oh, we must empower people. we must empower the front line. The company is going nowhere. We need entrepreneurship. So he went around all the branches talking to everyone, and he said that, look, I'm going to give you all this freedom and power. And they just looked at him aghast.